Hello, this is Anthony, back again with another movie review. Today I'll be reviewing a movie called Hereditary. I didn't know much about Hereditary going in, other than it was sort of a horror movie, but the trailer looked interesting enough, and it was definitely better than the other options that came out that week. It's basically about a woman. She has emotional issues because of the way she was brought up. She's having trouble with her family, her husband, her daughter. She just lost her mom, and she has trouble dealing with that because she didn't have a very good relationship with her mother. And that's basically where the movie opens. Over the course of the movie, she learns that her mother had ties to the occult. And that's basically all you can say about this movie without going into spoilers. So from here on out, if you want to go see the movie, and I would recommend going to see it, because it was definitely interesting and you might like it. If you're into horror, I would just turn off the review and go see it now. But if you're still here, the movie, it had a lot of good elements. There was a lot to like about the movie, and I did enjoy most of what I saw. There was a very H.P. Lovecraft feel to the movie. Like the angles in... They focused a lot of the camera work, and the camera work was really good, and they focused a lot of it within the house on corners. And there was a lot of angles where they shot into the corner, and there was a lot of weird lights, and it made me think of H.P. Lovecraft's Tales of the Witch House, which I think it at least was a bit inspired on. Definitely had a Lovecraftian feel to the entire movie, and all of the performances were excellent. Especially the mother, Toni Collette, I believe her name is. She was really good. This was definitely a great performance by her. There was a weird little girl in the movie. She was obviously cast to be a weird little girl, and I think it's kind of funny how many people are tiptoeing around the fact she looks weird, because she was obviously hired because of that very reason. She was she was okay in her part. She wasn't an amazing actress. She didn't really have a lot to work with. But she was good, and she functioned in the movie with what she needed to do. The son was really good in most spots. He had a couple horrible moments, like when he had to cry after the seance. There was a seance in the movie, and he had to cry and get emotional. And it was terrible. It was like basically the sounds, you know, he was making fun of somebody crying or some shit. It was terrible. Also, you know, there was a couple cringe-worthy, like, this scene really would belong in a worse horror movie type moments. Like, the son looks at his reflection, you can see this in the trailer, and smiles, and you immediately think of that Truth or Dare movie that just came out, and that was a terrible movie, and there's no reason why you want to put something like that into your serious horror movie, which... for the most part is what Hereditary is. It's got a very slow burn type 70s feel, and it does it well. As I said, it's got like a Lovecraftian vibe because there's a lot of the occult is in this movie. The woman finds out her mother was into the occult, was basically using her grandchildren to bring about the devil. He's sort of the devil. I forget his exact name. He was cool though. Like the backstory was interesting. It was a little generic. It felt like, you know, a lot of the other occult movies. All these movies, occult movies in general, if you're religious, you're gonna find them scarier than most people. But this one was at least, it had a creepy atmosphere. And there was one scene towards the movie that even gave me chills, which is rare in a horror movie, so I'll definitely give it some credit there. My biggest complaint about the movie would be that right after the daughter dies, because as I said, this is spoilers, and so the mother forces the son to take the daughter to a party. At the party, the son is busy flirting with the girl he likes and getting baked. Everyone's getting baked at this party, so much so that the girls who are at the party are actually baking. I've never seen that at a high school party before, but hey, The little girl had a nut allergy that was established earlier on, and you must find a reason to give her nuts. I personally would have just had the cake already baked, because, hey, it's a little bit too much foreshadowing when you actually see the ingredients going into the cake.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Obviously, the little sister eats the cake, and because she has nut allergies, she begins having a reaction. The son jumps in his car and he starts speeding around to save her to the hospital, and they're all out in the middle of nowhere. And the little girl's head goes out the window and she's like trying to breathe and smack into a telephone pole. And she gets her head whacked off pretty bad, brutally in the middle of the movie. And it's handled really well. And the son just goes home because he's traumatized, and his little sister's headless body's in the back seat, and he just goes to sleep, and his mom comes home and she finds out about it. And Toni Collette has some more opportunity to just pull out all of her acting chops, and she was great, as I said. But right after that, the movie started to drag. I'd have to watch it again to figure out exactly where it started to drag, but it definitely started to drag. And the reason why I'm not recommending this movie as highly as I want to is because I got so bored. Like, I wanted to go to sleep for about half an hour because it just dragged on, and they could have used some really better editing. Because while the family drama was okay afterwards, it was tedious. Like, it wasn't like a slow burn 70s movie. There was just so much unnecessary filler to drag out the runtime that I can't recommend the movie. I wish they had edited it shorter, because the movie would have been excellent if they had shortened the runtime in this particular area, because it was just not interesting at all. There was a lot of creepy visuals in the movie, like the mom's dollhouse, and she built dollhouses, these creepy dollhouses, which I don't know who would want to buy them, but I guess she sells them in the storyline of the movie. There was a really cool establishing shot where the camera went into one of the dollhouses, and then the people started walking into it because it was the dollhouse was actually their house. And that was cool. There's a lot of cool visuals in this movie. As I said, I got bored pretty badly in the third act. But when it picked up, when the movie went off the rails towards the end, it got great again. At the end of the movie, the grandmother's mission succeeds, and she puts the demon into the grandson's body. And the demon is revealed to be the little girl. The demon was born in the wrong body, and she had to do all these occult rituals to get it into the correct one. And it tied in very well with earlier clues about this, where they were talking about how the little girl said the grandmother wished that she had been born a boy, and we didn't understand why, and it all tied together very well. There was a lot of stuff that was established early on that had payoffs at the end. But at the very end of the movie, after all the cool visuals and stuff, there's this really nice shot of the mother's headless body floating up into the kids' clubhouse. The son climbs up the ladder to get up there, and when he gets up there, there's all these occult followers, and they're waiting to worship him. And there was this really cool statue of a woodland god, and it had the sisters rotting dismembered head on it, and it was pretty neat. But they stuck around too long, and it got really corny before the movie ended, and they had all this chanting to him, and it was unnecessary, and I wish it had a better ending, because the ending was just hokey. And yeah, I mean, everybody's performances were good. As I said, the mother was great. Even the father was good, Gabriel Byrne. He was basically, the one character who's like, what's going on? I don't understand all this. And he played it very well. But I'd give the movie definitely, I'd say a 5. I'm torn between a 5 and 6 out of 10. The way I judge a movie is if it's a 7, I'd be willing to buy it on DVD. And the frustrating part of this movie is it was so good in places I would definitely want to buy it, but it was so boring towards the end of the movie where I just can't bring myself to like it as much as I want to. And therefore it's a 5 or a 6. I'm not sure. I'm gonna lean towards the 6. It was a good movie. I'm sure lots of people will overcome the boredom and just like it for what it is. I think it could have used more editing, and that's basically my review for Hereditary. It was definitely one of the better horror movies that I've seen in a while in parts, but it just fell short of the mark. And that's my review. Up next, I'm going to be seeing Hotel Artemis. We'll see how that one is.